I've been waxing my chains since 2021 and I've been banging on about it ever since. I literally love waxing my chains and I will not stop until everybody does it. Now here's a video on 7 reasons why you should wax your chain. 1, why maybe you shouldn't. It's a very niche application, by the way, so wait for that. And then maybe at the end I'll dispel some few frequently asked questions as well. Guys, all the things I'm about to go into here, it's more of a brief overview of the reasons why. If you want to go into more detail, I'll always link Zero Friction Cycling down below, Silca down below, and my previous videos that do go into more detail into these reasons. Of course, you can always skip to any chapters down below, but first of all, a quick briefing on what chain waxing is. Chain waxing is very simple. Instead of using a normal wet oil-based lubricant, we use quite literally a wax. Sounds insane, I know. But what happens is you pack the inside of the links and the rollers with wax, and within the first 10 minutes, a very hard polished wax surface forms on each link in the chain. And this has a number of benefits that we're going to get into. I have made guides on how to do this before, so if you want to watch them or you're interested in it, then I will link the guides that are shown here in the description. Reason number 1, and this is the main reason why I wax my chain, and that is the cleanliness. It is just insanely clean. Honestly, I hate touching a normal oil wet lubed bike now. They're just so dirty. Doesn't matter how far you're into your riding, you can touch this chain whenever you want to. Not only that, the second bonus of having it so clean is that when it comes to cleaning your bike is even quicker. You have so much less grime and dirt to get off it. I mean, most of the time, it could just do with a surface wipe. It's that clean. There's another thing that I must talk about on the cleanliness front, and that is not only does the outside stay clean, the inside stays clean, and this is the most important benefit to wax. As I said in the introduction there, you kind of have 2 hard surfaces of polished wax, and as they slowly compress and compress and compress over the 250, 300k, however long it lasts, any dirt that gets put in there gets taken out with the wax. And of course, with wax being bone dry, it doesn't pick up any dirt either. That brings me on to reason number 2 to wax the chain, and that is equipment longevity. So your cassette and your chain rings, these wear because the chain is wearing. Let me give you a brief explanation. So chain wear is quite literally the inside, the inner links of the chain wearing away, creating more space in between each link. That's why people kind of used to say oh, your chain's stretched over the whole thing. All those little extra bits of gaps make it look like it's stretched over time. Now this is relevant to your normal chain ring because what happens is effectively the chain is supposed to basically roll in and roll out of each individual tooth there. So it's perfectly placing in and perfectly moving out. Whereas you can imagine when your chain is worn, you've got a bit more space. What starts to happen is you start to rub the insides and the outsides of the surface and you get these shark toothing. So effectively, instead of rolling all the way into the bottom of the cassette, it starts to sit high on either side of the teeth here. The way that the actual wax makes your chain last longer is that it brings, obviously, as I said earlier, less dirt into the chain. Any of that dirt that gets into the chain slowly gets pushed back out by the wax slowly getting pushed out. And finally, every time you re-wax your chain, especially in the hot melt, you're fully submersing it, so you're removing every single piece of old wax and dirt inside, and you're packing in new clean wax every single time. And that longevity brings me on to my next benefit of waxing your chain, and that is it's cheaper. Yeah, you heard me, it's cheaper. Let me explain. A really good wet lubricant might cost you anywhere in the range of 20 to 30 pounds, and you might go through 1 or 2 of those bottles a year. For all of the equipment to wax your chain, you're talking about £40 for a bag of wax and maybe £90 for a good crock pot. You're thinking, seems like more expensive. But no, because all of your components last so much longer, normally 3 to 4 times longer, That means you're spending less on cassettes, less on chains, less on shipping every single time. And usually for me, a bag of wax will last a whole year, and that's between me and my partner. So it's a lot of cycling. The more expensive your components, obviously the more exacerbated this becomes. Like when you've got Dura-Ace on a bike here, a cassette costs like 250 quid at full retail price, of course. Next reason, it's faster. Everyone wants to be faster. A wax chain usually takes less watts out of the system. So whenever you're pedaling along, there is going to be some friction on the inside of the chain that's going to be costing you watts. Now, the better the lubricant, the less watts this will take up. But generally speaking, as a rule, wax is faster than most wet lubricants. Now, there probably are some wet lubricants that can keep up a bit with wax, but not for very long. Reason being, again, because of that cleanliness. A wax chain will say cost you 3 watts throughout the whole system, the whole time for the application, that 250, 300K. Any normal wet lubricant, after like 5-10 kilometers, because stuff and dirt and dust starts to get inside the chain, after like 10K, it might start as like a 3-watt chain, but by the time you get to the end of that life, it's gonna be costing you a lot more, and you're gonna be wearing your chain a lot faster. Next up is cleaning time. Now, you probably thought I already mentioned this, but I'm talking about cleaning the chain itself. To re-wax your chain, it is very, very simple. All you have to do is take your chain off, put it in your wax pot, turn it on, let it heat up. You can walk away. It's like a dishwasher. You're not going to sit there staring at it melting. Give it a little swirl for 30 seconds and then take it out, let it dry, pop it back on your chain. Now, as a grand total of amount of actual physical work, you're probably talking anywhere from like 2 minutes to 4 minutes for a perfectly clean chain. Now, I can promise you, if you're trying to clean your normal chain fully to that kind of level, it ain't taking you 2 to 4 minutes. It will be taking you 30 minutes plus. You're gonna have to get all the dirt off the outside, and then you're gonna have to be taking it off, putting it in a jar, shaking the jar in degreasers and stuff like that. And you're gonna have to go through many jars of clean degreaser just to get it clean. I promise you, if you think it's faster to clean a wet lube chain, it's not clean. Simple as that. Which brings me on to my next reason, and that is environment. Now, one thing you kind of have to do to wax your chain is make sure you get rid of all of the factory grease. Now, the old school way was kind of like white spirit and acetone or alcohol. Newer companies have newer methods such as the Silka chain stripper and a UFO chain cleaner from Ceramic Speed, but now you don't even need those. Silka have their own strip chips that you just put it in the first time you're waxing your chain, and that strips all the factory grease off the chain for you. So the newest methods don't require any cleaning chemicals at all. Now, the chemicals that you use to clean the chain initially aren't that good, but you have to do that once. To clean and degrease a normal oil-based lube chain, it takes so much degreaser. It doesn't matter what you do, whether it goes outside or down the normal drain, that can't be good for the environment. And you have to do that every single time you clean your chain. So for me, wax, definitely way better for the environment. My final reason to do it is you have options. Effectively, for me, like as I said earlier in the video, my favorite way to wax the chain is to hot melt it. I think it's cleaner, I think it lasts longer, and I think the duration of the chain lasts longer as well, like the longevity, the lifespan of it. But you can also use a drip wax as well. And I do have videos on how to use that drip wax and stuff like that below, linked. But effectively, you can still get the speed benefits and most of the cleanliness benefits by using this method. Okay, you've got this far in the video, you're probably wondering what I think the downside to waxing is. And for me, I can only think of one, and that is ultra endurance riding. You know, those kind of guys that do like the Trans-Pyrenees over like 3 or 4 days, practically no stopping, no sleep, or the rides across Europe, you know what I mean? Ultra endurance rides. Now, the reason why I don't think wax works here very well is because, well, you're not gonna bring a crock pot of wax with you, are you? And a downside to the drip wax as well is that it takes time to dry. You kind of need to leave it overnight. The wax is emulsified in some water, and that water has to evaporate. There are kind of some semi-solutions here, Silka and some other brands do wax additives, so they have like their endurance chip. And this endurance chip, well, it extends the lifespan of the wax. Makes it less efficient in terms of speed, takes more energy to run through the chain, but it's a cost of like 1 watt for potentially an extra 100 to 200 kilometers on the wax. And you can use 2 of these and you can practically double the lifespan of your wax. So it lasts like 600 kilometers, which is a great option. What a lot of people do is they start with the wax chain and then they move on to a more normal wet-based lubricant once that wax starts to run out. So you get the benefits of the faster chain for like 300, 400, 500, 600 kilometers, and then you just go to a normal lubricant and carry on. I know some of you are screaming at the screen right now saying there's one more downside, Jason, that you've missed. And I'm going to argue that it's not a downside. And this argument is wet weather. Now, it's been suggested quite a lot before that wax doesn't hold up in the wet as well. And there's only really one argument against that, and that is wax is waterproof. Yeah, I know most of you didn't need telling that, but it seems some people do. Now, there is something that you got to do after a wet ride with wax, so maybe there is a little bit more work to do here, and that is quite simply just wipe down the outside of your chain with like a cloth or something like that. You know, grab the crank in one hand, a cloth in the other hand, and just backpedal. Is dry the outside of the chain. The inside of the chain is completely packed with wax. It's not going to rust. It's only the outside that rusts afterwards. And this makes sense. It's kind of exposed bare metal, but for something that takes about 10 to 15 seconds at the end of a ride, I don't think that's really a downside. And once again, because it's so much cleaner on the inside of the chain, actually a wax chain is still far more efficient and will make your chain last far longer in wet environments. I will also admit it does mean a little bit more work to reset the chain by putting it in a jar of boiling water just to melt the inside of the old wax out if it has got a lot of contamination in it. So yeah guys, as you can probably tell, chain waxing is a topic that I'm super passionate about, and I have a lot to talk about it. There are my 7 reasons as to why to wax your chain, and 1 reason not to, and kind of 1 counter argument for a lot of the negatives against chain waxing. But let me know what you think, and are you skeptical against it? Have you tried it? Do you think I'm wrong? And of course, if you have any more specific questions that you think I've missed here, chuck them in the comments down below. I reply to pretty much most things, or you can find me privately over here on Instagram, where I also reply to most things, or you can just see my daily shenanigans. Anyway guys, I've been Jason, this has been Cycling Unboxed. Catch you in the video.